Well, how about that then?
Oh, did you want me to record before you came on?
I don't see why not. I've been here for like 3 minutes, just waiting to be
Hey,
let
I'm
in.
editing an episode where you guys recorded before I
We
got
were
on.
talking
and...
about you behind your back, if you must know.
So record it and put it in the episode. What's gonna hurt my feelings more than seeing that on Monday? What are we even doing here, guys? If you're not just trying to hurt my feelings every time we get together.
Volume's great. I don't think we have Suba today, though. I'm not sure, though.
No, I mean, we'll see.
Does that fit? I'm not sure if we do.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, she said, I went to send her the link, and the last thing she had said was, we still podcasting later, totally fine if not. Suba's going to be in 10 minutes.
All right. I said it before and I said it again. Having a job sucks.
Right?
It's the worst.
Weird.
I don't know why anybody does it.
I don't think I've heard you say that, but I definitely have felt it from you.
Well, I was able to retire from being a waiter in 2013. And so I've only had like sporadic employments since then. And there have been so many times that like, you know, my roommate or Kirsten will be complaining about their job. And I just be like, yeah, they suck. I don't know what you want me to tell you. They're terrible.
Jarret, you are the only person that I can remember who refers to not working a waiting job anymore as retiring from waiting. And it's just curious. I kind of like
confidence.
it. Yeah. Like, yeah,
you mean like I'm not going to go back? You know? Like...
Well, there's that. There's a lot of things happening. One is that the idea that you'll never go back. It's impossible. But based on the way your body is, I imagine it is impossible. Just from the things.
Your resume looks amazing. Lupa, Landmark, Balthazar, Bar American. When can you start? I can start tomorrow. But here's the thing. I need a break every 15 minutes to poop and brush my teeth. Is that going to be an issue? Sometimes I will just need to go home and I won't be able to explain why. Is that going to be all right?
My bones break faster than these plates. Is that?
I got hollow bone syndrome.
How am you guys both sound really good to me? How am I sounding?
You sound good.
Great.
You sound like Rob. Hey, out
Suba.
there, Suba.
Suba.
How are ya?
You rarely see a Suba in the wild like this.
I'm staying at an Airbnb and the lady works from home, so that wasn't gonna happen.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know that was gonna be a thing.
Oh,
That's
wow.
pretty cool.
Is she funny? Because maybe we can have her on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Suba, I did not realize that this was the situation for you. Under that circumstance, no pressure if you don't want to. I thought you were just like, I don't want to do it today. But now I understand. I'm like, yeah, this is a weird situation. If you don't want to podcast from outside or whatever, if your internet's spotty.
I think it's okay, but we'll see.
Okay, yeah. So far, so good. Just
So far,
as
so
long as you're
good.
comfortable. We're good. We can always edit you out. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. And thanks for coming back, we should say.
Yeah.
Another repeat guest.
Yeah, our second repeat guest.
Who was the first?
Well, we
Liz
don't
Mealy.
like to. Damn it.
What could have been the person?
Where are you right now that you're staying at an Airbnb? And that was it for Suba, everybody.
I'm in Astoria.
So great having you.
She was a delight.
It was great. Better than the first time, I thought.
Hey, Suba's here.
Hey, Suba's back. Oh my God. Our third.
Who was our second repeat guest? I'm not sure if we like to talk
You are the
about it or
first
not.
guest that we've had on 3 times.
3 times, yeah.
And my guess is that you're going to be leaving shortly and coming back like 10 more times on this episode.
Awesome. Anything new with you, Suba? What's going on? You're staying in Astoria.
Nothing. Yeah,
Okay.
stand-up in LA right now is trash, so I keep coming back to New York.
Oh, okay. Is that why you've been in New York? Is just because like the stand-up scene is still taking a while to recover?
Yeah, I mean, I think the club's just finally like fully reopened. But yeah, for a while, I mean, New York was like way ahead with like full capacity, and I'm sure also coronavirus cases. But like LA took a minute, you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, people were like, the comedy clubs were like protesting throughout the entire pandemic. They were chomping at the bit to open back up.
Oh yeah.
When was the stand-up scene in LA not trash? I'm wondering if there was a window that I did not know about, that I was not aware about.
It was never great, but now there's like movie stars on like every lineup, and I'm like, open production, like get these fuckers out of here. Like, how am I supposed to perform when like,
isn't there a charity?
All these people.
Is there a charity for Michael Cera to do? You know, like, can't we just give him a job?
I know.
Doesn't he even want to run for something?
I'm gonna make an executive decision here. I'm gonna make an executive decision, podcast wise, to say that I think we should have you on as a guest, catch up a little bit, see what you're up to. And then maybe we should pick another date for us to do an official breakdown and have you on for the full hour and a half.
Because there is a weird delay on your end.
Right.
Yeah. And it's no skin off our backs.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought the Wi-Fi out by the shop was good enough.
Yeah,
okay.
It's just barely there. If this was one of our first 5 episodes, your internet would be better than most of ours.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
I think that truck.
More of that.
Truck might have sealed the deal. I was already agreeing with you, Rob, but
I'm pretty sure that was Truck for have her back some other time.
But let's catch up because it is great to see you and we love you and it's nice to have you here. So why are celebrity comics more on stand-up shows now than they were before? Is it because they would generally be on shows and there's just less shows?
It's kind of you to call them comics instead of just celebrities who are doing stand-up.
Yeah, but stand-up comedians, when they're out of work, they don't just show up to movie sets and hang out with people and just go, I'm an actor now, I guess.
Do you mind if I do a spot on your lines, Tom Cruise? Do you mind? And that was Suba, everybody. Oh, great to have her. Great to have her on the show.
Glad I'm recording this because it looks so funny. It probably doesn't sound great, but it looks great.
Oh boy!
Follow Suba on Twitter at Suba, I believe it is.
I love that we're doing her outro. She's probably telling us the story right now.
She comes back, and then I said, "That's my foot."
You can go to subahcomedy.com. That's SUBHAH. And you can find all of her handles and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff there. We are going to have her back again real soon.
Because I want to hear about Sigourney Weaver's Type 5, you know?
Right.
Later, Suba!
She already texted us and said, I'm so sorry.
Oh, poor Suba. It was so funny to see her and to have that weird interaction, and there are so many things that I still want to catch up with Suba about. Yeah. I still have so many questions, you know? I can't wait to have her back.
Good teaser.
Yeah, totally.
It's fun because like if you know, I know that Suba have been doing comedy long enough and feels comfortable enough in her own skin where that wouldn't like ruin her mentally. Where I feel like a young guy be like, the fuck did I do? He's probably like,
I'm sure. Were you guys friends with Suba when she was not in that phase of her life? Because I sure was.
I knew her when she was. Well, actually, when I think I first met her, I was running a show that was a half. Actually, it was just a one-off, but I ran a show that was like I wanted to get 2 or 3 bringers to perform on the show, as well as book people on the show, because I just wanted a guaranteed like 10, maybe 15 people. So I was like, all right, let me get 2 to 3 comics who might bring, and then I will book accordingly, whatever. That was like my plan for the show. And so I was trolling open mics to like see if there was anybody who was willing and, you know, at that place in their comedy.
Trolling or scouting?
Oh, I guess
I noticed that also, because sometimes people do say trolling is synonymously with scouting, like the expression trolling for trim.
Yeah.
When you are out trying to hook up with a lady.
I see. I only know the newer modern version of it.
But I love the idea that you were trolling open mics.
Boo! You're not going to get better You're not gonna get better at this without bringing people you know. You should do a real show.
That's reverse racism. I'm saying things that actual trolls say.
I'm actually trolling an open mic for Rob's purpose. So with different takes on the bit.
You know what? It's so funny because I've always known trolling to be that first definition. I have seen it obviously move to the other thing, but I just figured that there was space for both. I didn't know that we're actually at a place where it's confusing to say it in the correct context, but then also be like, what are you talking about? So I missed
didn't
that.
know. I know
that
trolling in the modern sense, and I know the trollololo guy. That's it. That's all I know. So I didn't know the other definition of the word.
You know what's so
I
interesting?
got it, but it stood out enough to me that I was like, I can't wait to make a bit out of this. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, me too. Like I could figure it out context-wise what he meant.
Right. But I could have said anything context-wise.
Yeah.
See, I was paniniing around for comics. You're like,
I'm sorry. Did you say paniniing?
Yeah,
Paniniing. Paniniing.
Like in the modern sense?
No, like in paniniing for pussy. Do you know what I mean?
So you were sandwiching
it's
comics
for
together?
Punani it was where it originally came from. Panini for punani, and then it turned into,
Anyway, so I see this one booby short on stage, right? And I'm like, that is going to be great for my show.
I always thought, and I don't know if I made this up in my head, but I thought it was like patrolling, and then that turned into trolling. I don't know if I made that up. I probably made. I don't remember reading it somewhere, but in my brain I was like, oh yeah, you're like trolling, you're patrolling, you're looking for things. You're scouting.
I could be wrong, but isn't it like when you throw nets in the ocean and you just sort of like drag them behind you? Is that trawling?
Oh, that's a good point.
Maybe there's a connection there, because that's also like what you are doing when you are, like trolling for something. You would be like just trying to collect as many of X, Y, or Z as possible.
You know what the guards do that are watching petroleum jelly, like or petroleum mining places?
Yeah.
What?
What?
They get on patrol. But they say they're like want to go on patrol every time.
And they're like, do you mean the modern sense or? For
You know,
more
cops-
etymology, make sure you continue to watch Is This Anything?
Yeah, not proper etymology. What we think it might be.
Speculative entomology.
Ooh, I think we have a nice spin-off podcast right there. Speculative.
I have a
etymology.
master's in speculative entomology.
But you're saying entomology. It's
Yeah,
etymology.
it's etymology.
No, I'm doing a different thing than you.
Okay. Yours is all about Entemann's baked goods.
Yes, exactly. But where did that phrase come from? Anyways, we'll discuss that on your podcast. Oh my God, this story off the rails.
So you are scouting or
Trolling for
scouting.
trim.
So I was trolling for trim. I was scouting for skush.
Scouting for skush.
And that sounds like paniniing for pussy.
Looking for ladies.
And I had come across, and I thought it was a reasonable thing to do, and I came across a couple of people who I thought were pretty good. And Suba was at one of these open mics, and I was like, well, she's clearly better than other people here. And so I approached her and said, hey, would you like to do this show? But you'd have to bring people. And she, politely enough, was just like, I'm not doing that anymore. And I said, oh, okay, cool. And that was it. That's how I effectively.
But if you did that to her now, she'd be like, suck my dick. Because she's so self-empowered.
So I don't know how far back in time that was exact. I could maybe find the email or whatever it was. But yeah, that's about how far back I knew her.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that Stupa is at a place in her career right now where she's not completely losing her mind about, X, Y, or Z audition or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I think we're all a little.
But you guys like me, right?
It is weird. Yes, Rob. I don't know how long you're gonna hold that face. It is weird. There's like almost like like you have to go through puberty again in stand-up. There's so much neuroticism in coming to and like getting funny enough so that you know that you're funny, getting funny enough that other people know that you're funny, then getting confident enough that it doesn't matter if other people know you're funny. It doesn't affect how you feel about yourself. There's just so much weird ego and insecurity. And so, yeah, I think we all go through those phases where like something like this would have been like oh, I fucked it up. Oh, no, I'm never going to make it stand up.
100%. That's an excellent analogy. I like that.
Yeah, that's great.
I have something for our catch-up today, guys.
Oh, what a surprise. Jarret and Eric can never think of anything.
I had my last doctor's appointment for a long time yesterday.
Hey, that's
And
great.
it was just, I was meeting up with my new gastroenterologist just to go over all the tests that I had just taken and come up with a plan for going forward. And I love my new gastro, but she has a massive ego. And here's how I know this. I went to the liver doctor. I got all these liver tests done. The liver doctor gave me all the test results. She said, according to the fiber scan, your liver is good, but you have elevated levels of this chemical that suggests liver damage. So, because the one scan was good and the other scan was bad, I'm not too concerned about it. I would just say keep an eye on it with your gastro and your general practitioner. And so I went to my gastro yesterday for the big old catch-up, and I said, liver scans, blah, blah, blah. So she said, just to keep an eye on it with you and with my general practitioner. And my gastro went, but I'm not a liver doctor. I'm a specialist. I'm a gastro-enterologist specialist specializing in eosinophilic esophagitis. Why would you come to me with liver issues? Why would you talk to me about... I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it was so... She got so on me just for bringing up things that were not in her purview specifically.
And
like
also
when I got
something that you didn't come up with.
I know! I was just repeating what the liver doctor said, you know? And then every time I've been checked... Because I've been to the doctor a lot over the past couple of weeks. Every time I get checked in by a nurse, they always say, oh, your blood pressure is a little low, you know? Not nothing to worry about, but just every single time it's been a little low. So I decided to ask this doctor... against my better judgment, if she thought that was a thing that I should look into. I'm not a general practitioner. First of all, why is that nurse even telling you anything? And I was like, she didn't say it.
Could you do the full thing again? I am a gastroenterologist.
I am a gastroenterologist specializing in eosinophilic esophagitis. I am not here to talk to you about your blood pressure. And the thing that made it even more annoying was that she was 45 minutes late getting to me. And I know that shit happens with doctors. They have a patient that goes long. It's not like she was, at the arcade or at the movies or something. But I was sitting in this room for like 45 minutes and she comes in and yells at me for asking her non-esophagus questions.
This sounds like me coming in late to the podcast. Where I'm just stressed out because I'm late, and then I take it out on you guys.
Oh yeah, I need to treat this doctor the way that I treat Brett on tour when he's just like raging out a little bit. It's like, hey, yeah, that's okay, doctor.
And then the doctor will be like, I'm sorry, I did go to medical school, and so I do know about blood pressure because you can't just learn about gastroenterology. I'm sorry.
You know what I like? I like that the one doctor is called a gastroenterologist who specializes in eosinophilic esophagitis, and the other one's called liver doctor.
Liver doctor.
I'm liver doctor.
Well, I don't want to confuse our audience because we were talking about that great band Hepatologist the other day.
Oh,
That's
God,
true.
Remember?
Fantastic. Glad they're back on tour.
I'm so glad they're back on tour. Yeah. They don't drink a lot. Anyway, so that was, I came home from this appointment. I told Kirsten, I was just like, I like her. I'm so glad that I have this new gastro who knows what she's doing. She gave me a great game plan for my next endoscopy and for my next colonoscopy. And with my medication, she seems like she's really got it together, but I really got to make sure to stay in her lane. Otherwise, boy, am I going to get an earful.
I just want you to ask something like super innocuous, like I should schedule with you guys again. And she's like, do I look like the staff up front? Do I have a clipboard that says
this is unbelievable
scheduling?
Hey, so I live like 2 blocks away from here. When do they pick up the garbage for like big items? It's like, am I 311? Am I
a gastroenterologist
specializing in eosinophilic esophagitis? Do you know if I can get my parking validated up here? I am not a parking attendant! I am not a parking specialist.
Those last two things would be realistic for her to have that reaction.
That's funny. Yeah, Brett's joke was not the same, but I love where Jarret's just purposely bothering her.
Who was the guy that starred in the Fast and Furious movies? I am not the Internet Movie Database. I am a gastroenterologist specializing eosinophilic esophagitis.
But then you hit one thing that she's like super into accidentally.
Yeah.
You're like, do you ever have? Do you think cilantro is tasty? She's like, oh my god, I love cilantro. It is so good in so many dishes.
Not enough people will ask me about cilantro, which is weird because I am a gastroenterologist with specializing in eosinophilic esophagitis. Oh boy! All right, so that's my bit of business. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
I'm doing great. Go ahead, Rob.
I was going to say that I had some good news on the writing front. The sci-fi script that I wrote and submitted to a screencraft competition got into the quarterfinals. I just found that out.
Oh, hey!
Congratulations!
Hey, thank you so much. And so now what I do is I'm rewriting it up until Sunday night, and then I submit like a revised draft to hopefully get into the semifinals. That's how that works.
Ooh,
And
great job.
What round gets you into the quarterfinals? Has it gone through one round already? Is second round? How many rounds is this?
So this was only a submission, and then this is the first time I got any
Nice.
news. So it was like
Oh,
generals
cool.
to
So we
quarters.
get to watch the whole journey.
Yeah, exactly. And I can get you more specific numbers as far as like it's a large. I remember it's like 1,200 submissions down to like 250. Like the numbers dwindle pretty quickly. So I appreciate that.
That's
Yeah, I'll look at the exact numbers because a friend of mine went through this process not too long ago, and I was blown away by how much volume that they actually did get. So any
Very
movement's
cool.
good, and it's just nice to have something to like, this is something that you guys were tracking with me from the beginning of the pandemic, right? I just wanted to write something that was getting in this mode of every time I sat down to maybe do a project, I was like, yeah, but can I be in it? Or is this going to help my career?
Mm-hmm.
Is this something I could sell? At the time too, I started to, actually have people have contacts that were interested in some ideas that I might have, but they were so like pinhole, like, well, it's got to fit this very specific thing. So, maybe I was pitching to like someone who worked at CISO, for example, while that was a thing, or I was pitching to some production companies. For a while, I was pitching like nothing but reality shows ideas. And so I was like, my brain was operating, but it was just operating in this pure sense of like, what could sell that also I could stomach as being an idea that I wouldn't want to like kill myself to do. And since that all went out the window, it was kind of fun for me to be like, well, just write a project that I think might be fun and like has a budget I would never be able to shoot, and I probably wouldn't never even star in, and all that stuff. I was like, this just might be a fun pursuit. So it was kind of cool to get back to that, do things like I used to probably do in high school and college, and maybe earlier on in my comedy career. I was like, this is fun. I don't think it's going anywhere. That's not the point. I'm doing it.
That's my favorite. I mean, I think that it produces the best work when you're literally just driven by only your imagination and what you want to create. That's really cool. But also with that volume, it also means kind of, I mean, I'm going to infer a lot here, but it means probably in order for them to read all of those scripts properly, their process has to be like, okay, first 3 pages, something is hack or cliche, that one's not going to make it. And so I feel like that probably is like just getting into that first round is really cool. It means that somebody read through the whole thing without being like, nope, this is discounted.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, because we know competitions have their own. It's a racket in and of itself, right? So,
sure.
And I'm using racket not in like the tennis way. I'm using racket. You guys are,
like racket, like racketing for really good vagina.
part of it is you can pay a little extra to guarantee yourself the feedback from your reader, which is kind of cool. So the person who read your script, grades your script on various categories, but then also gives you like a page and a half's worth of long form feedback, and which is really cool to read. You're like, hey, somebody I don't know read this script, and you know, they're talking about it. They're like, oh, this character was great, but felt like he was blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, just the knowledge that someone I mean, maybe you guys don't know this who are listening, but you will submit, you know, stand-up competitions and festivals and stuff. And you're like, I'm not sure if anyone watched this tape. So, you know, that could happen a lot. So even just the satisfaction to know that somebody did read your thing and thought about it for an afternoon is worth the money.
100%. Yeah. I remember I went on a bunch of commercial auditions, and one time I was talking with my mom, and she was like, hey, what are you doing today? And I was like, oh, I just auditioned for some commercial down in Midtown. And she was like, oh, cool, when are you going to hear? And I was like, probably never, Mom. And this is something I love about my mom. Her response to that was, oh, shit.
Sorry to cut you off.
There are things I think it's the New York Film Festival. There's something where I know that Matt Pavage and his creative partner, can't remember his name, they're just so talented. They spent all this time making this pilot, which was so funny. And from that, they submitted it. I think it was free to submit. And they got they got into like some MTV development deal. They got a bunch of things that like did really, really well for it. So there are those things that do exist, which is nice.
Yeah. I had a friend who did really well in a pilot writing competition. Got to pitch to HBO because of it.
That's great.
Know? So it's like, yes, these things, they take your money, and it sucks. But then also the avenues into this industry are so narrow, and there are so many dead ends. We're sort of forced to try everything, even if it means, you know, throwing $100 down the toilet in admission fees for, you know, screenwriting competitions or anything.
100%. James Manzello, by the way, is Matt Pavage's creative partner's name, and he's super talented, and I think he's great. Both of them are, and I want better things for them. Or I want more things for them.
Check out. I mean, they I think I saw that they changed their backlog of their YouTube channel, Handsome Dancer. If you, our listeners at home, are familiar with the song Coincidence, that is them. I remember when they uploaded it, it had like less than 100 views, and I was like, it is crazy how good the stuff they make.
It is so good.
And I submitted it to Reddit, and then I got it like an extra 3,000 views, but it didn't blow up for like a while. Somebody else discovered it, which was great. But man, it's just the stuff that they make. I think they've been recently making some new stuff.
Good.
So I was happy to see that they're still creating. But
yeah, everybody loves Coincidence. Coincidence is so fun.
Yeah, it had a resurgence on TikTok too, which is great.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, like just thousands of videos of people dancing to it, which is just so cool.
Wow, you can really dance. That's what they're using.
We should definitely have Matt on as a guest at some point.
Oh, hell yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I like Matt. Brett, what's going on with you, buddy?
Oh, so You're
on tour.
I'm on tour again. Had a wild, like I was having a little insomnia leading up to getting on tour, and then just maybe had an hour sleep before I got on my flight. Ooh. Then we land in Denver, drive 4.5 hours, and then basically have like an hour of free time, get some food, and then go to the venue to set up. I'm the only opener on this first show. It's a theater. So it was just like, I knew it was going to be wild. And so I went into that, but just like, I actually had to ask Steve to like take over, because I was like, I think I'm like drowsy. Like I'm like, my eyes are starting to shut. So I was like, you mind driving for a little while? Just took like a nice 20-30 minute power nap, and I was back on it. But the show was awesome. It's completely sold out. I think they oversold a little bit. But in Colorado, breaking, I don't know if it's record breaking, but very, very way hotter than they're used to. It's like 104, and the AC in this place, not happening.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. I've done shows where it's like super hot out. Once time I was in New Orleans, and it was like 96 degrees. It was outdoors, and literally like there was no momentum possible with the audience. 70 people there. And the most you get out of a laugh was like this. And
there is something, just for the people who don't know this, who are watching this, having the audience at a comfortable temperature, maybe even a little colder than they want it, is is a comedy show staple. Like that is how you get laughter out of people, is keeping them a little colder than they want to be. And if they get too warm
and paying attention.
But if they get too warm, then
if you have to exert energy while you're warm, you're just not going to do it. And so I think 5 or 6 times throughout this show that I did in New Orleans a few years ago, so when me and my opener, we would make a joke, they would go, huh, there would be a pause, and then somebody would go, it's hot. So that is a good example of like what it's like with
these jokes are good, but it's hot.
So hot.
Somehow this crowd, I mean, they're literally fanning themselves during the show. Their energy was incredible.
Oh, great!
Wow.
Yeah, I think Steve, when I was setting up merch the entire time because it was just me, you know, all of the merch is like not, you know, it's been shipped in, so it has to be organized. All the shirts are all mangled and stuff like that. They're not folded together and stuff. So I'm doing like everything at normally, you know, 2 openers, Steve setting up cameras and stuff like that. I'm setting up merch the whole time during Steve's set. When I like was listening, he was murdering, but he said that they had started to get too exhausted towards the end. But I benefited greatly because they were still had energy in them, and
they were hot, and then they got hot.
It was such a fun set. I was too sleep deprived to really work on much new stuff. I did do one alteration that you guys suggested. I'm going to bring that as like a little check back.
Oh, sweet.
Maybe next episode. And that worked really, really well right off the top. And I just was like, I'm just going to kill because I'm like not in the space to riff or be in the mind space to do newer jokes. But killer show. And actually, when I thanked them and I was going to bring up Steve, it was a weird moment where one guy stood up. They were giving me such love. One guy stood up, and then like it didn't catch on, and then he sat down, and then another guy stood up, but there's still so much energy that I was like, you know, if I wait this out, I think this may turn into a standing ovation. But then I was also like, I don't know if it will, and I don't really care. And like, I'm just gonna bring up Steve. So instead of like waiting to see where the precipice was, I was like, give it up for Steve Hofstadter, and all the energy just transferred there. But I was like, that's good enough for my ego, and I don't really need this.
I think you did the right thing.
Yeah, it's also the right thing to do. But it was a cool moment.
You took the popcorn out of the microwave, you know, when there was only 2 kernels that went off. He was like, I think it's done. I think it's
All right. Should we get to some jokes? Should we do some jokes?
Yeah, let's do it.
Woohoo! All right.
Did you get to talk to RBG?
I did talk to RBJ.
RBJ. I always fuck that up.
RBJ, what's she up to?
You know, she is
there's the crisis at the border.
It's summertime, so she's having some slow gin fizzes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's a gin lady. Don't you forget. Don't get it twisted.
All right.
You know, just sitting on the balcony telling everybody who's an idiot and who's great. That's what most of drunk Ruth Bader Ginsburg's day is like. Giving free decisions on who sucks and who's awesome. And then she takes a break to tell us what our order is.
Nice. It's a side
job. Our order this week is Rob Jarret Brett.
Hey, Rob starts off again.
Jarret Brett.
I wanted to try something a little bit different today. And I kind of wanted to pitch to you, Jarret.
Me specifically.
You specifically.
Okay.
A potential sketch idea that might be in your wheelhouse. You'd have to do it with me. That's part of it.
Hard pass. Hard pass.
Okay, not try me, Rob.
Okay, you don't have to do it with me. You don't have to do it with me. You can do it whatever you want. Okay, so I was thinking of this today, and I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll just bring it to Is This Anything? And ask the boys if this is anything.
I love it.
So, if you don't know Jarret's TikTok channel, go follow him on TikTok. He's got great political videos. They're super funny. And yeah, they're just all the things you would expect from Jarret. They're great. So what I wanted to do was we're playing Monopoly. Okay, it's just a little quick edit back and forth. Roll. Jarret's like, sorry, buddy, straight to jail for you. Next roll, I finally get out of jail. I go, I'm out. And I roll a 7. it looks like I'm going to pick up Marvin Gardens. And you go, ooh, do you want to rent that? Because this is a co-op, and I couldn't imagine that they're going to be too happy about your time behind bars. I mean, I can't. I'm going to have trouble owning property after I got to prison. That's right. I roll again. All right, fine. Ooh, short line railroad. Are you going to be traveling to Canada? Because as an ex-con, you are all under probation. You cannot be leaving the country. And I'm like, I'm not planning on. I don't understand. I can't even. I pass go. Can I collect $200? Well, that's public funds, and you are not actually liable to get government money while you are technically an ex-con. And I'm like, well, that's okay. Can I get a job? And then maybe we could even cut to, you're now the, resume looks pretty good. I'm not sure if you're McDonald's material, if we don't really look too kindly on ex-convicts here. And basically, the person playing Monopoly gets screwed because they went to jail once.
I love that idea. The only issue that I have with it is that
the sketch.
When you edit this episode, could you just put my face on there?
Oh yeah, could you have me doing what you're doing? That would be perfect. That would be amazing. No, the only issue that I have with it is that I want to know more issues that happen when you go to jail, because a lot of them aren't one-to-one. Do people that have been to jail have an issue with buying property? Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I know that they can't vote, and I know that that's super unfair and unreasonable. I know that they have a problem getting a job.
I will make the distinction that's going to prison, not going to jail.
Yeah, I will say, So there's a bunch of problems. One is jail versus prison. That's true. Certainly the traveling outside the country while you are on parole or on probation, probation rather. So even after you get let out, you might still have a period of time where you can't, whatever. Yes, this would require a little bit more gentle just research to make sure that we're kind of, I figure as long as a state or some states have like one or two of these rules in place, then that's fine. And yes, I am also happy to mix in this sort of public-private agreement where it's like, as an employer, you are allowed to ask such questions as blank, and that's legal. That's you're legally required to offer up that information, or they are legally allowed to ask you that information, etc. And then they could use that information against you. I will admit the most specious thing that I said was this co-op board thing, but they are notoriously in your business and in your life anyway, so I just kind of made a guess on that. But everything else is on the up and up, totally true.
I have to imagine that it's hard to rent apartments also when you have a record, when you get a rap sheet. Look at me talking the lingo like I'm a detective. But I love this idea, and I love the idea of it spinning out, where first it's like really one-to-one, like, can I buy property? Can I use the railroad? And then it's like you land on a square like, ooh, adult relationship. And it's like, no, sorry, no one's going to want you dating their daughter. Not if you've been in the big house. And then you roll again, and it's like, God damn, the only work that I can get is doing crimes with the people that I met in jail, the people that I met in prison,
Yeah, maybe the second time you go to jail, if you go to jail a second time. Oh, no, the whole thing is you only go once. But maybe you like, in order to survive, your piece gets a prison tattoo. We're actually going to change your piece out now. You can no longer the top hat with a tattoo.
I'm the thimble with the teardrop.
There you go.
If you go to prison one more time, we replace your thing with a shiv. I love it. I love this idea. Yeah.
What are the rules? I'll be honest. I thought of this afternoon that I didn't have enough time to do enough research, so I kind of came in with a little shoddy.
How unprofessional, Rob!
You idiot.
I'm sorry. How do you go? You can get a card and go directly to jail, but isn't there something that you can roll? And if you roll something too many times, you will.
I don't remember. I think there's also like house rules. I remember being a kid, and if you got like snake eyes, you went to jail or something. But I don't even know if that's an actual rule.
I see.
So yeah, we got to do research. That's my note for this.
You can also, I think, if at the top, if you want to just give yourself a lot more liberty, just say, hey, we're playing Monopoly, whatever version, because there's so many different versions of Monopoly. So Monopoly prison version, and that fixes the jail issue and stuff like that. And then it gives you more freedom to mess with the rules a little bit.
That's actually true too. Yeah.
Yeah, because it could be like, oh, what's the difference? It's like, oh, the only difference is that instead of going to jail, you go to prison. Oh, okay, well, that's not that big of a deal.
That's true,
you know,
too.
And
yeah.
then
you could say,
all
like,
the bad things happen.
It's pretty funny.
Here's the other thing is that we would need to wait a little while before we film this because I actually sent you a sketch like a couple of weeks ago that was a fake game called American Government. And I just finished filming it today. I'm going to edit it and release it next week. And
yes.
I would love to put a couple more
games.
videos in between so it doesn't seem like I'm...
Oh, Jarret, he's the game guy. Yeah, he does games.
Extra niche. Super niche. He does comedy videos about politics, and they're always translated into a game of some sort.
But can't you just record it and then release it whenever?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. But, I mean, we needed to work on it. We need to write it and stuff. You know, I'm just trying to think of like more of the like real world consequences. Like you roll and your parole officer is an asshole. He's extorting you for $200 a week or something. Yeah, I need to rewatch some of those prison documentaries that I've seen about how shitty it is and the recidivism rate and whatnot.
I was trying to think about the experience that you would have in prison. Like what, like was in the game when you get out, you're scot-free and everything's fine. It's like you've never been there, but that's not the case in real life. So yeah, it could be like, well, since you've been in prison once, you know, now if you roll pretty much anything other than a 7, you're going to go back.
100%.
What?
That's excellent. That's excellent.
Why?
It is so hard to not go back to prison once you've been in prison.
Now.
That's excellent. Oh, I love that. That's so great.
Something to that effect, and then just the shitty conditions while in prison. You know, just like oh yeah, well you know, whatever. You lost all of that earning income in your life. Like it's like, oh well, I mean, I still have my properties, right? Like yeah, but you know, you kind of were out of the game for most of your, you know, your best earning potential years. So we're gonna probably dock you. Whatever. We're just trying to mimic real, you know, just trying to mimic real life the best we can. So.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a John Oliver episode about prisons that we should watch and then just do that in Monopoly form.
Yeah, perfect.
But this is a great idea. I love it. Do you think that, because I sent you that script about the game idea that I just shot.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe knocked this idea loose?
You know
or is this
what?
completely unrelated?
It's crazy.
What the hell? What the hell is going on with Brett?
I think he's making fun of me maybe because I leaned back, but I can't tell.
What the hell just happened?
I think he died.
I don't know if we offended him or what, if he's
There he is.
bored. What happened? He lost his headphones. What happened?
I thought I'd give you guys a little while to do Robin Jarret sketch time. Oh, this is a sketch idea I had for you, Jarret. Maybe I could be in it. Oh! Remember that sketch that I sent just you, Rob? Let's talk about more about that. So I just thought maybe I'd come back in when I could be part of the show. You could just tell us about what the sketch was about. You think it fits in here?
Right. You had some excellent contributions, Brett. Even though this is the separate podcast that Rob and I are doing together, you had some great feedback. You had some great ideas.
I'm sorry.
Prison Tat, that was you.
Can you just I'm saying the audience at the home that doesn't know the other sketch either. Can you just tell them?
Oh, you want me to tell you about that sketch?
Treat me like I'm an audience member, at least. So I know what you guys are talking about.
Okay, so the sketch that I wrote was called Do You Want to Play American Government? And it's basically about how the system of American government is structured to give Democrats a massive disadvantage. And so, you know, you roll the dice and you go, okay, the issue you're debating is voting rights. And then, you know, the Democrat says, oh, I got all these great idea cards for voting rights where, you know, it's easier for everyone to vote and everyone gets the day off and you can do early voting and vote by mail and everything. And then the Republican is like, oh, that's a really good hand. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to play making it harder for minorities to vote. And I'm going to play no vote by mail. I'm going to play standing in line for hours to vote. And then you like roll the dice and it's like, okay, looks like 85% of the country likes the Democrats' plan better. And it's like, yeah, so we are tied.
Oh, that's great.
Wait, what? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I get an extra 15 points because of the Electoral College.
I knew I shouldn't have played with a blue deck.
Stuff like that. You know, that's
Gotcha.
that's the
Cool.
premise.
That's great.
Yeah, I really like that. You know what's funny? As I was at the deli when I was thinking about this earlier, and I was not actively thinking about your sketch at all, but clearly it must have been in there. Like, I forget what lodged the idea initially. I think it was Monopoly specifically. I think I was thinking about Monopoly, and then if it comes to me, I'll let you know. But that was what the thought was. I do have a regular joke to end this session off.
Oh wait, before we get to that, I want to say I did have an idea to do a millennial monopoly idea, where if you are born with money, you win, and if you aren't, you don't.
That's really funny.
It's just one coin.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you just go around the board, or you just never buy property. You just go around the board and you're like,
exactly.
I don't understand. You're like, you rent at Marvin Gardens, and you rent at Boardwalk, and you rent at Baltic.
Mm-hmm. And then if you try to do something better, if you try to buy property, if you try to accumulate wealth, people just instead of actually giving you money, they say maybe you shouldn't buy so much avocado toast and iPhones. Did you ever think about that?
Where's the railroad? It's an Uber.
You're driving it.
I don't understand.
You make $3 an hour. Congratulations.
That's super funny.
All right, so what's your regular joke that Brett can get involved with?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
this is great. I realized that I had never, of all these years, I'd never had a Spam burger. I've never eaten the Spam thing. I'm familiar with that meat, right?
I'm familiar with Spam. I've never heard it called a Spam burger.
Oh well, it's just
I could figure it out, but you said it like it was a common use of phrase, and I've never heard that in my life.
Well, usually on a can of Spam, the picture will be of an actual it'll be on a sandwich thing.
Yeah, so. I think I would just call it in my brain. I look at that and go, "It's a Spam sandwich."
Okay,
Spamwich.
So we're gonna do the portmanteau, but we're not gonna do Spam burger.
Spam burger is great. I just
the
way that you said it was.
I think a Spam burger, you would need to grind the Spam together with some ground meat in order for it to be a Spam burger.
Maybe that's it.
Otherwise, it's a Spamwich.
All right. Spam.
I just needed you to say I've never had Spam. I've always wanted to have a Spam burger. That's all I needed from you.
Oh, okay, I see.
What do you mean when you say Spam burger? Do you mean a Spam sandwich?
Maybe I do mean a Spam sandwich. I don't know.
Is it sliced? Is it ground and fried?
The whole point of it is that I don't know. I've never had it. And I don't even know how to make it. I don't know if you just put the thing on there. Do you?
I want you to do this joke so badly, so the audience would be
confused.
none of us have had this. No human has had this.
I don't know what Spam even is. It comes in a can. It's very confusing. I'm not sure. So I went to their website to find out, which was a mistake because now they keep sending me all these emails.
Excellent joke. I think the justification needs to get tweaked a little.
It's spam.
Because otherwise, the audience will just get hung up on Spam burger.
I could say Spamwich.
We just did 20 minutes on Spam burger when all it was just a great Spam joke.
I could say Spamwich. Spamwich probably.
As in spamming for spussy.
I think what you're supposed to do is you get 2 pieces of bread, and it's really simple. You open the can, and then you pour out a bunch of emails that say you can enlarge your penis. And with the other piece of bread on.
That sounds good. Great. Thank you guys so much. That was my time.
Excellent. Thank you,
was
Rob
as if
Ryan.
you went, I have never had a broccolia chi. And then that's why I got hung up on it. It just sounded so what? A Spam burger?
Oh, so if I did not say the word spam before I said Spam burger, then that
we would have let you
my mistake.
do your joke.
That's my mistake.
Yeah. I don't know what Spam is, so I went to their website, which is a mistake.
Yeah.
Excellent material, Rob. I love the first idea, especially because Brett was not in it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that would get a bigger pop. Anyways,
You made sad.
Yeah, it got a bigger pop than one of my.
Broke his heart.
My heart, my ventricles popped.
if it makes you feel any better, Rob's second joke was about eating meat, which I don't do. So that was really just for you, Brett.
Oh yeah, that
is
true.
Mm-hmm. That was a great Simpsons joke way back in the day where Grandpa Simpsons had a girlfriend, and then he wanted to go see her on her birthday, but the family made him just not do that. He's like, no, we're going to spend time with you. And he's like, I don't want to see you. I want to hang out with her. And really sadly, she dies that night, and he didn't get to see her. And then he says the line, "They say that her left ventricle burst, but I know she died of a broken heart." That's a good line.
Excellent. All right.
Okay, Jarret, do you have any ideas that are exclusively for Rob?
I do, but because you're being such a dick about it, I might as well do it. Okay. I'm worried about this joke. I wrote it. I think it might be slightly offensive. I think it might be slightly hack.
Oh, this is
so.
funny.
I just want. So I'm just gonna read it, and you guys let me know anything problematic, anything hack about it. All right?
Okay.
I love it.
I also want to say that there is going to be a moment where I pretend that there
I'm
is
Asian.
audience. I was going to say there's going to be
hat.
there's a moment where I pretend to interact with the audience, so just ignore that and pretend like, I'm just in the middle of a show, all right?
Sure, no problem.
Okay. So my fiance is a woman of color. What was that? I'm a hero. Yeah, but that's not why I did it. Okay. So that's number one.
Very funny.
She's half Korean and half Mexican, and someone once asked me, does that make her Filipino? And I had to explain that you don't really add ethnicities together. Like, you can't make an English person by mixing a German with a Canadian. And, like, the way you make an English person is by taking a Canadian and shoving a stick up their ass. But because I am marrying a person of color, I notice racism a lot more, and it gets me a lot more angry. Like, one time my fiance and I were walking down the street together, and a dude just, like, fully checked her out, just, like, up and down, and just as soon as he was done, he said to himself, but out loud enough for me to hear, I need to buy rice. And I got furious, but also confused, because she's Korean and Mexican, and those are both very rice-heavy cultures. And so I wasn't sure exactly what kind of racist he was being. I wanted to be like, what kind of rice? Paella? Jasmine? What are we talking about? That's it. That's what I got.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Yes, I've mentioned that to a friend of mine before, that concept, and I love that. I love that you're able to get that in the joke. And it's perfect because your fiance is Mexican and Korean.
Are you talking about the concept of other cultures, of many cultures being rice heavy?
Yeah. Someone I was talking, basically the word that came out was, well, either way, I like rice, was basically the joke, something like that. So this is great. This is the perfect place for something like that. That's really funny. As a matter of fact, I just thought of a line, because when you said my wife's a woman of color, she's a Korean, half Mexican. So she's actually a woman of colors. That's my contribution.
Now, I feel like I've heard that joke before, where someone like mixes their ethnicities together to be something else. I'm half this and half this, so I'm Mexican, stuff like that.
Yes, and actually that is very hack, but what you're doing is great because you're now flipping the hack. You're like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I love that. That's my favorite part of the joke, actually, is that premise, and I'd like you to flesh it out a little bit more. I think if you want to do this, you just take a Canadian, stick the stick up their ass.
Stick up their ass. Yeah.
That was my least favorite part of the joke. I felt like you cut off the premise that you were already working on that was really ripe, and it just didn't do much for me. It just seemed like a way to get out of that premise and move on to something else. But okay. I would like to hear more about people who think that you could just combine ethnicities to make races.
Like when I go to a Taco Bell Pizza Hut, it doesn't become a Chili's now all of a sudden. It's still two distinct restaurants.
Right.
That's really funny. I like that. And do you guys think that's dumb to do the "Am I a hero" thing, like pretending like someone in the audience?
That's great.
I
like that.
I love that so much.
A lot.
Yeah.
Oh, what is that? I'm a hero? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but that's not why I did it. I love her.
Matt Jenkins will sometimes do that, and it makes me laugh every time. Just talk to a crowd member and say that they said something that they didn't say. I always think it's a very funny device, and I think the way you did that was great.
Yeah.
What about the guy who needed to buy rice? What about that part of the joke?
One thing that stuck for me was I was confused as to, like, I wanted to know, there's something off about him checking her up and down and then being like, I need to buy rice. So I want almost you to be confused by that, and then what your reason as to why he did why is he checking her out? It seems like he's checking her out sexually.
Yeah.
But then because she's either Asian or Hispanic, that then reminds him that he needs to buy rice.
Although it probably did happen and it probably is true, it did make my mind go to that sexual direction, and that was where the joke in your honor and her honor was kind of being, defiled. So when it went back, I was like, are we going to talk about the sexual thing or whatever? So
I guess the thing that I was trying to communicate, and I guess it was not clear, was that originally it was like, ooh, check out this girl, but then it reminded him,
I gotta
like,
fuck
ooh,
rice.
check out this sexy Asian girl. Oh wait, I need to buy rice. Or ooh, check out this sexy Mexican girl. Ooh, I need to buy rice. Like that.
Maybe if you take me through what you think his thought process was, like, ooh, she looks like she's Asian. Oh, she actually looks like she's Mexican too. I would love both. Oh, so I need to buy rice. Like if you get that would, I think, solve it a little bit more for me.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that journey was not clear at all.
Yes.
That specific journey. Brett's fix I like. My fix, if you were to take it, would be to just say that there was an interaction. There was a dirty look or just a look. I was walking with my wife. I just got this look from this, I walked past a guy and he's giving me a look. And you couldn't place it. You're just like, what's, I don't understand what's like, because that's not a look that you experience. That's your whatever. So it could have been anything. You don't have to say these words, but it could have been maybe he doesn't like interracial couples. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he does. Is objectifying my fiance. But then he said, I need to buy rice. And you were like,
now, do you think that me being angry, but also wanted to know like what kind of racist he was being? Like, is there any legs on that?
Oh, that's a great.
Like, are you being racist because she's Asian? Or are you being racist because she's Hispanic? Like, what is it?
If after he says that, you go, what kind?
Because you did ask about the type of rice, which I thought was really good. Are we talking about short rice, or is this a long grain?
Yeah, but I would like you to actually say it to the guy, so that.
Yeah.
Did you in the joke say it to the guy?
No, I said in the joke, like I wanted to say to him.
Oh yeah.
Like, what kind of rice?
Yeah, I would like for you to actually in the joke say it to him.
Okay, I'll give that a try. Like, but it confused me because I wasn't sure. Because she is Korean and Mexican, so I wasn't sure what kind of rice he was talking about. So I wasn't sure what kind of racist he was being.
If you say, so I said, what kind? Because I wasn't sure what kind of racist he was being.
Oh, I like that.
But I want the laugh to be on what kind, because that's such a funny.
That's fair.
Like I'd want the audience to be like, that's good, I'm with you on it.
Right. Yeah. I think actually, Rob, your way is right. The way you were originally doing it, Jarret.
Going out to the crowd made me laugh, and then what kind of rice? I was like, you'll see it in the playback. I'm already nodding because I'm like, I think this is going where I think it's going, and it was like, that's perfect. I love that so much.
Excellent.
Also, another possible fix is just take out the sexual element at all. Is just he looks her up and down with a confused look on her face, because now if you say confused look, there's no questioning whether. We know that he's questioning something, and we don't assume that it's sexual, because you don't ever go like, she's really hot,
But don't you think it's funny? I mean, listen, because you guys did not get the journey from A to C, it's clear that this is wrong. I'm just surprised by it because it's such a funny idea to me. Even when you were doing the act out, Brett, it's such a funny idea to me for a guy to be like, ooh, yeah, I need rice. Like, I love that. And I guess, we talked about this before. Like, sometimes I feel like I have to I have to spell out more in the joke. In my premises, I kind of go into a little bit more detail, and I repeat details because I want to make sure that everything is understood, because if it doesn't, then it doesn't get the reaction that I want. And so maybe this is just another one of those examples where I have to do his thought process if I want to do that sexual look up and down thing.
I do, yeah. If you want to include the sexual thing, then yes, I think you have to include his thought process, and I think it is funny. But I was for trimming stuff, and if you didn't want to do that, I was just suggesting that as an alternative. For
brevity, I think your guys' idea is better to just not make it a sexual look. But for the logic of it, I like it being a sexual look because that's why guys check out girls on the street. It's just, it's rare that someone's like, oh, there's a person, there's a human being I'm just going to look at,
I predict that when he says, either in your voice or his voice or however you do it, I need to pick up rice. The audience will gasp. The audience will be let down.
I kind of heard a gasp from you guys. Also,
it's gonna be a downer moment. So I don't think you should do it in his voice, or I think it should be, the setup of this joke is like. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not crazy, Rob. Don't worry. There are sirens in the background.
No, I'm talking about the people who are saying I should murder you guys. So
put my dick in the jelly jar. What?
But I don't have any peanut butter. It's a whirlwind up here. So when you say that, I think the audience is going to be like, there's going to be that moment. So you can't expect a laugh. I think the way the trajectory of this joke is going to be, and so this guy, he looks at my fiance, gives her a look up and down, and then I hear him mutter to himself, I need to pick up rice. I turn right back around to him and I was like, hey, sir, what kind of rice? And then, something like that. And then, because there's going to be like a tension.
I like the pacing of that. I really do.
And you turn around, you say it, and hopefully, and you can tinker with how much of the audience gets that joke right away. You've already said Mexican. You've already said Korean. They should be there. If that's enough, I think you're playing to the top of the audience's intelligence level there. And if you get more than 40% of the crowd to laugh at that part, then you can fill in the gaps for everybody else. It's like, what kind of rice? Because, is it Mexican rice or is it a small jasmine, whatever? And then when you do that, then then everybody else kind of fills in the gaps, which is always kind of fun when you're like able to, allow the top of the class to laugh first and then everybody else kind of trickles in later. That's how I predict that joke going. And I think it's just so fun and so cool.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And unless there's anything else, let's move on to Brett Druck in the interest of time.
It was nice. It was a good joke.
Thank you, Brett.
All right.
I'm part of this show.
Well,
did you have any feedback, or were you just trying to move things along?
I just wanted to be like, Rob just said all this effusive stuff, which I agree with, but I wanted to be like, me too. Yeah.
I see.
And so I'm also still sleep deprived, and I'm like, I can't catch up with you guys. Maybe it's better for you guys to just talk about your sketches together.
I like sleep deprived Brett. I think it's funny. I think it's great.
That's funny.
It's so funny. Me and Kirsten both slept like garbage last night too, but we on a time crunch.
We didn't
so
complain about it, so I'm doing fine.
We're gonna do Brett's jokes now.
Okay. All right. Here we. Oh nope, that's Supa's webpage. Oh no, I lost it.
Remember when Supa was on the show? That was fun.
Yeah.
We gotta thank her at the end of the show. Remember to do that.
Looks like Brett's got a lot of tabs open. That's what's going on here. Looking for his jokes. Looking for his bits.
Too many tabs.
Yeah, okay.
Too many tabs.
Too many tabs.
This is an older joke that I used to have, and I'm trying to reform it. One of you may have heard me try this on the road, but I wasn't a very fun kid. Sometimes somebody would run up to me, another kid, and he'd tag me and be like, "You're it," and I'd be like, "Okay." That's the shortened version of the joke. The original joke was like...
I'm not a very fun kid. That was the original. That's an old joke. It's an old joke.
That was actually the middle version. The original version was, I think I'm gonna be a not fun kid. Just sitting in your mother's womb.
Yeah, actually, that was the newer version. The older version of that was just nothingness. So the original version was that I wasn't a very fun kid. Sometimes somebody would tag me, and I would say, I accept. And then I would say the only way that this burden of tag will ever stop this cycle is if one person doesn't pass it on. And I am willing to sacrifice myself and take on this burden so that nobody ever has to be it again. And then I would lie down face first on the ground until my mom called me for dinner.
And then didn't you used to actually lie down on...
I think I did an act out, yeah. But getting up from the act out was not good because it wasn't getting big enough laugh.
Yeah.
But I bet the comedians liked that part. I bet the comedians watching the back were like, oh man, Brett getting up in awkward silence is killing me.
I like the idea of you going to the nearby payphone, calling your mom and saying, I have become it. I need you to pick me up. Take me home.
That's really funny. Yeah, I actually like that with the shortened version. If somebody come up and tag me, and I would be like, okay, I'm gonna call my mom, and I'd say, Mom, I need you to pick me up. I'm it. I have become it.
Yeah, I've become it.
I'll tell you where I'm getting a little hung up on this joke is that presumably
I was a really fun kid.
just from how I know you now, I'm like, there's no way Brett wasn't a fucking dope ass kid. Had a lot of fun. I have to imagine that there was a point where the rules of tag were explained to you, and also that there was a time when you were playing tag regularly without this reaction, you know? And so either something happened to you in your life that made you a not fun kid anymore, and so then the next time you played tag, you had this reaction, or someone explains the rules of tag to you, you get tagged, you're it, and then you come to this realization the first time you're playing tag that the only way to stop this cycle is to not tag anybody, so I'm just going to go home.
You actually stumbled upon the original thought process of the joke, which I didn't remember until now, which was that I thought it was so funny to have this kid kind of like watching this continuous cycle and have this epiphany, like, this is just going to go on forever. So if somebody is explaining the rules to me,
right,
then I can have that realization. But I don't know what the segue into that would be. Maybe it's an overthinker thing again.
Yeah, don't get me started on rock paper scissor. Ooh, that is an existential nightmare. Rock beats scissors, but then what happens?
I'm actually pretty okay with rock paper scissors. I think that it sums things up pretty well.
But no one ever ends up on top.
If you ever do, I think it's lawyer, cop, rich person. That kind of works in like the same nice cycle.
Lawyer, cop, rich person.
Lawyer beats a cop. Cop beats a rich person. Rich person beats a lawyer.
I don't know if that's accurate.
Because cops beat black people. Damn it! I couldn't give a straight face. Fuck.
So Brett, what about this for justification? Where I remember the first time I saw tag being played as a kid. I don't know where you put the realization, either here or after you get invited to play, you just sort of like accept it. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that I'm like, what's the point of this? Everybody just keeps spreading this thing. Nobody wants to be it. And then somebody invites me to play, and I'm like, I know what I need to do.
I must become it. Yeah, I do like that. And
then someone tagged you, and you go, "It is the way."
I love the idea of you going, like, now you're on a journey, and you go playground to playground, just absorbing all that is it, you know, and every game of tag ends with you, and you go, oh, I'll play, and then they tag you, and then you just walk off into the sunset. Where is he going? Like, they say he's going on to the next game of tag. He's the most it there's ever.
Oh, the kids are like, we're free! We're free!
What do you guys want to do now? Nobody said we go, because they're all friends, and you're the only one by yourself. But you have to make sure you don't touch anybody.
They're just touching each other like, we're not it! Nobody's it anymore!
I'm walking
like, thank you.
Sunset Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, exactly. Or like the end of the Hulk. You know, you got to go on your own because someone's like, "Oh my God, Brett, you saved me." And he's like, "You can't touch me. I'm 1,000 its right now. I would kill you with one touch."
That's so great.
I've been building up an it tolerance over years and years.
This actually would be a really fun sketch or short film if we got some child actors.
Wow.
And
Ooh, Brett, let's you and I just talk about it, just the two of us.
Oh yeah, I get to be part of the thing. Rob thought, yeah.
I even had dialogue.
Do you want to film this sketch with me? Like, we could do it together.
Yeah, Rob said I even had dialogue because he he did come up with a lot of the structure for it. But yeah, I also like the fast forwarding to him as an adult, and he just can't love anybody.
Can't touch anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super funny.
Well, that's great notes. I think I could probably try that as a joke now.
Do you guys
unless you guys
believe
have
in
more
the
thoughts.
bullshit theory that TAG is an acronym for touch and go? Because
I've never heard that in my life. That's the first time I heard that, and spam burgers. So I'm learning a lot from you, Rob.
I don't know
If
what
that's anything like spam burger, my guess is that it's a thing that doesn't exist that you just made up.
It's one of those things, and maybe you could relate to this, or maybe not, because obviously I say things that no one can, apparently. But one of those things where like the internet says a thing, and it's like, did you know that this was for this the whole time? And you're just like, no, that's not what that is. You have made up a history of this thing.
I remember seeing chain letters like that. Did you ever see that one about picnic, where the word comes from? It's just this made up thing about how it's a racist term, and it used to come from pick an N-word.
Oh, jeez.
And to hang. I read that. I was like, oh my God, that's horrifying. And then somebody was like, that's not true at all.
So interesting. We're finishing the episode talking about etymology again.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
No.
ooh, etymology.
Or entomology.
There it is.
There it is.
Where did this chocolate donut come from?
I'm a Gastro-Entemologist. Just eat cake.
That's the title episode.
I put
right there.
cinnamon buns up your butthole.
Entomologist.
Gastro-entomologist.
With
What do you think of gastro?
with a specialty.
In eosinophilic
Right.
esophagitis.
There we go.
Next time you go to your gastro, you should ask them if you can eat spam burgers. How that would.
Why would I know that?
What is a spam burger?
Can I digest them? Oh, that is the question I can answer.
I think it's-
The answer is yes.
Yes.
But if you're asking me if they're good for you, you better.
I think that's a nutritionist.
Yeah.
What if you ask your gastro any question that you want to ask her normally, like something about your blood pressure, but you just say it about another person that you're currently ingesting? Like, hey, I'm eating a guy who has sometimes he has low blood pressure. You think that's normal?
Is that going to affect my blood pressure as the person eating him? And if it does, what kind of health consequences can I expect from that? God damn, that was so weird. Oh boy.
A gastrophysicist. I have no lead in.
Or lead out. That's the middle.
Yep. Gastrophysicist.
Gastrophysicists, they study Jupiter.
That sounds good.
No,
Jupiter's
gas.
a gas giant.
Gas giant. Yeah, I'm done with that. I was trying
What
to
do you guys think about
eating
this?
in space or something.
Separate idea.
Yeah.
For a while, there's like couple month long periods years ago where I was like got into space for some reason, but specifically how big everything is in space, just like the enormity of our sun, which is puny compared to other suns, which is puny compared to the size of galaxies and stuff like that. And it just blew my mind.
The end of Men in Black.
What'd you say? Oh,
You watched the end of Men in Black? Yeah, I watched it too, Jarret.
Ooh, it's so out there.
And so there's like this thing, like, you know, these giant celestial bodies that are like amazing, but they're
just
boring.
marbles. Oh,
But they're boring because it's like, you know, you're looking through a telescope and you're like, oh my God, look at all those colors. Look at that enormous colors. What even is that? And then an astrophysicist is like, it's hydrogen. It's just it's a giant fucking cloud of hydrogen traveling through space at 1 billion miles an hour.
Actually, I don't know. It seems cool to me though. So I guess.
I mean, it's cool. It's interesting. I just think it's so, because it looks like something. It looks like it would be a thing,
Yeah.
you know?
What do
But
you
instead
want
it's
it
just,
to be?
it's just a whole bunch of hydrogen.
Yeah,
What I
but,
want it to be?
but the star could house planets that are just like ours and be just as filled with as much biodiversity and crazy creatures.
Well, I'm not talking about a planet exactly. I'm talking about, like, there are some celestial bodies that are non-planetoids that are just
No, of
like
course.
big.
No, yeah. There
Yeah.
are stars, but I guess my brain goes to the next level. I'm like, if that's a sun like our sun, that means there could be planets like our planet or da-da-da-da. So it's just a justification thing for me on because I'm like super in. I'm like, I love it. It's great. So you're going to have a tough time convincing me that it's just hydrogen and it's boring. And I'm like, it's not even just hydrogen. It's hydrogen that condenses into helium, and then the helium condenses into carbon, and the carbon condenses into iron. And then once the iron's all gone, then the whole thing collapses and bursts into a supernova and it spreads out all the hydrogen in other places. Whatever.
All right, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I was watching the episode. These breasts are stardust. That line cracked me up.
What a callback. And I think we should wrap up so that Brett can go hit the road. Say it's not Russian.
Gastroplane.
Ooh, Russian. I've got one more thing that has no beginning or end, and it's Vladimir Gluten. That's enough. That's an idea.
And outro goes here.
Wait, I have one more.
Okay.
Sometimes if Vladimir Putin is ordering dessert, the server's like, what do you want for dessert? And he's like, Putin. And they're like, yes. But I want Putin.
I like it. You are Putin.
Yeah, okay. What do you want for dessert? Putin.
It's a real who's on first every time Vladimir Putin is trying to order pudding at a restaurant. And outro goes here.
After the next thing that Rob has to say.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.